Welcome everyone to episode 1 of our brand new playthrough on Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. I've been waiting for a while to do a full campaign on this game until they got some of the major updates out so we could really see what this thing can do. And I think we're there now. So I actually have not played the campaign since the new update came out. So a lot of these new features are brand new for me. We're at 1.1.4 now. So we're going to start with the German Empire in 1890. We're going to go on difficulty hard. So it's kind of the medium. There's normal, legendary. There's normal, hard, and legendary. We're going to do hard. Historical AI opponents. The opponent admiralty leader will use strategy and tactics based on historical facts. Otherwise, the AI will be a random personality and will behave on... Actually, you know what? I like the random and the unexpected. We're going to do that. We're going to create our own initial fleet. And then AI shared designs, which is one of the new features, is going to be selective. So we'll see what all that has to offer. So 1890, we're going to start at the very beginning of this thing and see what happens with all of this. I've got a few ideas on how I want to make this work in the campaign. This is going to probably be a fairly long campaign. I'm not going to show every minute of every thing that I do because we would be here all day without a lot of action. So I'll try to just give you the highlights as we go along. So if you haven't been following the game at all, you may notice that now they've got a full world map. That is not something we had before. And we have a lot of other nations besides just the nations that are playable. These are places that control ports that you might be able to take out eventually, and you can kind of gain control of in wartime. So we'll get more into that as we go along. Submarines are now a thing, but probably not until later on, certainly not in 1890. And now we have actions to be able to improve relations, increase tension, cancel alliances, go for peace treaties, launch naval invasions. So all of those are things we're going to be dealing with along the way. Right now we can see that our friendships are mostly with Austria-Hungary and Italy, which makes sense because they were a triple alliance at one time. And of course our closest thing to an enemy would be the French and the British. The main things I want to focus on are making sure that I can at least somewhat hang with some of the big boys when it comes to their fleets. I'm primarily going to try to focus on big ships. It just takes a while to build big ships, but we actually get to design some ships right off the bat because we don't have any fleet, so we're going to build our starting fleet here, first of all. So our initial battleships that we're going to build, these are going to be the Schleswig-Holstein class. Not a lot of speed, but I want to put a lot of protection on these things if I can. We've got 12-inch guns, which are the max. They're only Mark 1s, but they still have the best accuracy of any of the big guns that I have available to me. I also want to get some decent secondaries on this thing if I can somewhere because we're not planning on building a lot of smaller ships. So we're going to rely on these secondaries to be able to give us firepower against some of the smaller ships. All right, let's see if we can put any 4-inch guns anywhere over here on the sides. It looks like we can. So that'll be helpful. I can't do compound armor because you can see the massive weight of the compound armor just makes it completely useless to what I have here. I am going to throw some torpedo tubes on this thing. We're right at the beginning, so we really don't have a lot in the way of technology. That didn't add a lot of weight. Oh, we do have a bit of a 4-weight offset. I'm going to try to... it's not going to let me move that any further back. We've got a decent engine efficiency for the time period that we're dealing with as far as technology goes. So the way we can try to balance off that 4-weight is to maybe add some aft armor, which doesn't add a lot to the weight, but is balancing things out nicely. You can see we've added a couple hundred tons, but we're almost completely balanced now, which is perfect. I'd like to fix the pitch and roll if I can, but they're both within acceptable limits. They're going to have an impact on things, but like I said, these are my initial ships. These are not the ships that we're going to be dealing with long term. I wouldn't mind having a little more speed on this thing, but it's going to drop my engine efficiency. So we might just have to deal with it where it is. Maybe we add a little bit more armor to the turrets. Just to protect those a little more. And we're going to add to the Citadel some of that inner deck armor if we can. Superstructure is protection of towers and funnels, which I think would be key. So we're going to armor these things up as much as we can. Add a little more to the deck. We can go a little bit more there. I think that's pretty good. Not a lot of secondaries on this thing, but these are going to just be our starting ships. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so I've built 10 of those, and I think that'll be our starting fleet. I'm going to try to do this primarily with just battleships. I'm just curious to know if I can have an effective campaign with only battleships. Obviously, there's going to be a major issue as far as technology goes because it takes so long to build battleships that it may put me behind a little bit on some things. But shipbuilding capacity is now a thing. You can't just mass produce as many ships as you want because you only have so much shipbuilding capacity at any given time. So we're going to go ahead and increase the size of our shipyard. Now, I'm basically going to constantly be upgrading the size of the shipyard every 12 months so that we can stay ahead of the game on things like that. I'm going to max out my tech budget. Tech is something that early on in the game is not going to be a big deal, but 10, 20, 30 years down the road, if we are investing max tech budget pretty much nonstop, that's going to start to show. I can't keep up with the British or the Americans in terms of the money that they can throw into their navies. But what I can't do in terms of budget in numbers, I can hopefully make up for with technology. So that also means with mainly just going with battleships and not a huge fleet, I shouldn't need to worry as much about training a massive amount of crew. So our monthly balance right now is pretty substantial. So there's different things we can do with that. Research-wise, what can we do first of all? I'm going to try to put a little bit of my bonus research into things that are close. Let's go ahead and go submarine experiments as well with priorities. And we will start the campaign. So we do have one port over here in the Yellow Sea. That's really our only presence in Asia, and I put 2 battleships there of my 10, just because I knew it would be hard to get new things over there. So there's oil, and I don't know exactly how that plays out yet, the access to oil and things like that, but you can see the oil production per capita. So obviously controlling territories that produce oil is going to be a huge issue in this game, and we'll see how that all plays out as we move along. Here are the other ports that we have. We don't have a lot in the way of ports right now, but like I said, going to max out tech budget. We're going to try to increase the shipyard size as much as possible. We have just the 10 battleships, but that gives us a lot of flexibility as far as upgrading to new things. Okay, so we got new 7-inch guns. We also got 10-inch Mark II guns. There's a new sea passage. The Suez Canal is trespassable for all ships during peacetime, but can block the passage for all enemies of the Ottoman Empire and its allies during war. Bosphorus Strait, the Dardanelles, the Danish Straits. So basically it's just showing us where all of these different straits are. And control of that could block access for navies. Greece signed a special alliance and trade agreement with the Italian Empire. So this is all interesting. The Italians can use Greek ports as supply centers, can sell warships to Greece. So that's actually really cool because now when we have obsolete ships, we don't have to just scrap them. Maybe we can sell them to other nations. That's really cool, and I like that a lot. All right, so gun layout and big guns have been researched. What do we want to pour into next? I like the idea of going after engines. And you know what? Honestly, we're not going to put a lot into things like cruiser and destroyer design. How about control station? One of the early things I'd like to be able to do is to be able to get accuracy bonuses against our opponents if and when we go to war with those people. So now we're getting updates about battles that are happening. There's a battle going on between the Ottoman Empire and Kuwait, and we're seeing the losses. And then the Battle of the Orange Free Strait, that's kind of the Boer War. thing going on there. So that's all happening, and that's kind of interesting. So let's go down here and look at Kuwait for a second. I don't know how that'll all affect things and what all of that means yet. There's a lot of new features to this game. Let's look at research, engines, control station. We just finished submarine experiments. Where do we want to go next? Rangefinders, definitely. Submarines are not able to be built yet. There's a lot of new technology we need for that first. So let's look at politics for just a minute. Obviously, the British are the ones we got to worry about the most. I'm not in any way, shape, or form ready to take on the British in a war. So I'd actually like to try and improve relations with the British, if I can. I'd much rather have them as an ally than an enemy. I would, however, not mind taking on the Russians. But it looks like you can only take one action on any given turn. So, and there are minor allies that you can make as well. So that's kind of a cool thing. I guess the crews are already set on those. I'm waiting until we get some more new technologies before I start trying to build some new ships, because I've got a lot of money available to me right now. Every turn we begin updates about these new little alliances. I'm not highlighting every one of those, but there's plus 12 relations with the British Empire, plus 5 naval prestige. So that does a little bit. Just want to keep them on the positive side. I don't want it to get any worse if I can. However, let's increase the tension with the Russians, shall we? Start going that direction. We've got our first war erupting, and it's between the Empire of Japan and the Chinese Empire, and that obviously is going to have a ripple effect on things. We're going to start to see more and more issues happening here and there and everywhere because of it. So we're maxed out on all of our expenses: crew training, transport capacity, tech budget, because we've got 175 million in naval funds, because I didn't start with a big navy. We're at minus 10 with the Russians now. We could probably continue to go that direction with that, but for now we're going to keep improving relations with the British so we don't get anywhere near any kind of a war. Once we complete control station, the engines, and the rangefinder technology, I think we'll look at designing new battleships. Okay, I moved myself over a little bit so you'll be able to see on the screen what's happening in the monthly reports, where we're basically just getting information about ships that are being designed and planned and built and things like that. In a foreign press conference, you have been severely criticized by the British Empire's Admiral of the Navy. What is your reaction? All right. We want to choose what's going to help us the most. I think we'll take the naval prestige. Let's go right here. Plus 3. It only hurts us by minus 3 with the British Empire. Turret mechanism technology has been completed. So Russian Empire have deteriorated after your personal provocations, which seem to have a mixed effect to our own people. So let's look at our research now. 4 months away on engines. We did get the control station bonus. Internals protection coming up pretty soon. Maybe work on small guns. All right, we have our first border change. Kuwait has defeated the remnants of the Ottoman Empire's forces and gained full control of Kuwait. So I don't know what that means, if anything at all, for us or for the world. Probably not a lot. Man, we've got so much in terms of naval funds. We probably need to start spending some of that. We just got 2 new techs, so I think we'll go ahead and maybe look at designing some new ships. The Russians, here we go. Here's a chance to really drive things down with them. This will cost us some naval funds, but yeah, that'll give us new prestige and also hurt relations with the Russians, which is what we're after. Those are Mark II guns. That doesn't really give me a lot. U.S. strengthen relations with the German Empire. I like that. Let's continue to improve relations with the British. Big technological breakthrough with the triple expansion steam engine, which definitely has an impact in terms of the horsepower that we have available. There's anti-submarine early theory 2. Arabia and Japan have a new alliance. We don't have the option to improve relations again with the British, unfortunately. I don't know how we go about getting alliances with some of those minor nations, if it's even possible to do. Here's where we are right now. Russia, France, Britain are negative. We're going to continue to try and push things with the Russians as long as we can. So I'm going to do a refit on the Schleswig-Holstein class with the triple expansion steam engine. I don't know if there's anything else we really have right now that we can do to change that. You can also choose the ratio of shells. I've got a standard ratio on regular shells, but max high explosive shells on the secondaries right now. I don't think there's really anything else I can do. We could maybe increase the crew quarters because we've got room for that. Maybe add a little bit of speed, and it still kills our engine efficiency when we do that. Yeah, I think we'll just do that. We're just going to go to those triple expansion engines. Yeah, I already saved it, so that's okay. So now we'll go in and we'll actually order refits on all of our existing ships, and then we'll start queuing up building some new ones as well. Okay, so we're going to go in and start selecting all of these ships, and you'll see what it's going to cost to refit our entire fleet. 834K, but only for 1 month. That's really just nothing at all for us to be able to do that. All right, let's go ahead and add onto our shipyard again. We're just going to keep on doing 12-month time slots with the shipyard upgrades. Okay, so here's a new class that we're going to build. This is going to be the Bismarck class battleships. The differences mainly center around, we've got a few more 5-inch guns on this thing. Same speed, basically same everything else, max bulkheads, max on the quarters, but we're going to put the Mark II 10-inch dual turrets on this thing. So they're a little smaller, but a little better technology. So it gives us something a little different than our existing ones do. This one can operate a little bit more, maybe like a light cruiser. And then we're going to go ahead and start the process of building 10 of these to add to the existing 10 ships we already have. And because I'm primarily focused on going after the Russians, we're going to basically set all of these new ships in our ports that are over closer to Russia, or at least not really send any of them to the Pacific port. And it's going to take 25 months to build these new ships, so it's taking a while. All right, this is a huge upgrade that we now have with nickel steel armor. Plus 40% armor strength. It reduces weight, which has been the key issue. Cost is no real thing to me. Now I kind of wish I had waited to build those other ships, but that's always going to be the case, and that was the case historically, right? The second you built something, everything else you already had was obsolete, and then 6 months after you built those, they were obsolete because there was something else that was new as far as technology went. So we're always I'm gonna be saying that the entire time we play this game, that I wish I had. And you can't really refit with different kind of armor. So we're 8 months or so into building those ships, and obviously now we're going to start building some new ones. But the good news is we have the ability to build new ships because we don't have much of a fleet and we've got a ton of money. So now we get to do nickel steel armor, which is going to be a huge improvement. This is going to be the Kaiser Wilhelm der Grosse, Kaiser Wilhelm the Great class, and that's going to actually allow, because of the reduction in weight, I think, to get a little more speed going. So one thing I forgot we're able to do is that we can actually adjust the length of the barrels on these guns to get a little bit more of a kind of a tweaking of what we want with these. So the gun calibers on 10-inch guns can go all the way to 10.9 inch, and the diameter can go all the way to 5.9 on the 5-inch guns. And then, of course, looks like we can't, that's the diameter, so that's the size. Doesn't look like we're able to increase the length just yet. That'll probably come with later things that we do. And we're still overweight, unfortunately, so I think we're going to have to reduce that addition that we made to the speed. That's also going to help with engine efficiency. We're still over, though, and I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe the nickel steel armor is still giving us issues when it comes to weight. Yeah, see, compared to the iron plate, the nickel steel is going to be about 1,200 tons higher, but we're probably just going to have to go single tens to stay under on weight. Oh, we're still way over. Dang. Okay. Okay, so if we reduce the range on this one a little bit and the speed, it gets us where we want to be. So we're going to have that new nickel steel armor, so it's going to be a little bit more protective than what we already had. We don't have a lot of weight we can work with here, but we have a little bit where we can maybe adjust this 4-weight offset, but nah, not too much. All right. Okay, we now have gun cotton and explosives, so that'll be a nice new choice that we have. Now let's go back to politics. We're at minus 38 now with the Russians. The Russians also have some issues with the Austro-Hungarians and the Japanese, and that would actually really be beneficial if we could get multiple nations to go to war with them and not just us. We're in pretty good shape with everybody else. France and Britain still not great, but okay. Not too worried about that right now, though. Okay, so this is interesting. We have a alliance and trade agreement with the Koreans. Enhanced economy via trade and shared oil resources. Their ports can be used as supply centers. We can sell warships to the Korean Empire and utilize ships of the Korean Empire during war. We tried to improve relations with Austro-Hungarians. That failed. That hurts my naval prestige, which is actually negative at the moment because I've had some failures on that front. Let's take a look and see where we're at on research. We're going to get new rangefinders here pretty soon. That'll come in handy. I think we'll just kind of let everything else kind of go on its own for the time being. So this is new. Korean Empire would like to order 1 Bismarck-class battleship. They'll pay 25% in advance, and the rest of the amount will pay upon delivery after 14 months, providing a total profit of 28%. Would you agree? Yeah, we'll agree to that. That's cool. Costa Rica has been conquered by the United States. What are they doing over there? Another failed attempt at increasing tensions with the Russians. So the U.S. has conquered Costa Rica, and they already have Panama, so they're definitely making some noise out there. Let's go into our finances. We're going to just continue to build up the shipyard. Continue to pour as much money as possible into these other things. Man, we just cannot seem to make things worse with the Russians right now. Going to try again to improve relations with the Austro-Hungarians. And we do need to go in now to our ship designs and see if we can't refit the refit. And I don't know if we can do that, actually. We don't actually have those other ones, so we can't even refit those. We might just have to wait and just build new ones with the new rangefinders. Austro-Hungarian Empire offers an alliance agreement but needs a considerable financial aid to support its navy. That we have is money, that's for sure. We've got 589 million in naval funds. So yeah, I think I'd probably be okay with that. Let's go ahead and get that alliance with the Austro-Hungarians. Korea is buying a bunch of our ships. Of course, that increases our capacity, our naval capacity, which is not really something we can afford right now because we're way over on our shipbuilding capacity. Let's see what the impact of that is. When shipbuilding capacity becomes exceeded due to simultaneous building of many ships, the construction rate decreases, resulting in severe production delays and increased construction costs. It is advised to at least suspend the construction of some ships to speed up the building of the rest. Okay, so maybe that's what we ought to be doing in this case. Although we're 6 months away from some of those being done, so I guess at this point maybe there's no point, but we should think about that moving forward. So we've got the alliance with the Austro-Hungarians. We're at minus 53 now with the Russians, so we still are not near. By the time our new battleships arrive, we'll probably be getting close to war, which is good because it's important to note that the Russians, let's take a look at the Russians here because they've actually got 36 battleships. They've got more battleships than any other fleet. Maybe I should have been picking a fight with the Spanish, who don't have any battleships, have 24 light cruisers. I wanted to go with the neighbor because I thought it would be easier given my limited range and things like that, but Russia just started out with a ridiculous number of ships. You can look at the overall tonnage. I have 117,000 tons compared to Russia's 488,000, British 486,000. Their naval power rating is at what? It's at 26% to my 17%. There's good news for our allies. Natural oil resources have been discovered in the province of Galicia. Something happened with the U.S. here. I want whatever's going to help with our naval prestige. Indicate we need to trust our own industry and not rely on the machinery bought in the United States. Yeah, let's do that. Industrialists who are impressed by our Navy are ready to invest in the needs of the fleet. 80 million in naval funds. I'm going to invest it in the gross domestic product. There's 8-inch secondaries available now. And the Koreans won another Schleswig-Holstein class. The Russians are now allied, by the way, with the Swedish. So that's a minor power we have to worry about, but not a huge deal. We can, once again, work on building the shipyard. That's going to be something we just keep on doing. It's also going to increase our shipbuilding capacity. We're getting close to war, and thankfully we're going to have our new ships by then. All right, so we are working on modernizing our fleet so our Navy can soon become the strongest in the world. That'll give us -6 with the Russians. That's enough for war. It should be, anyway. But we didn't get it. We're at -99. Increased tension, baby. Let's look at the fleet. So we're commissioning. Those new ships are going to be available very, very soon, just in the nick of time. I think we need to build some new ones. We'll go in and start designing new battleships and start queuing those up. We have new towers available, new main towers. We have main tower 3 and 4. Before we just had 2 for the front tower. We'll get our... Can we get a large one in there? No, we can't. We'll have to go medium. I think we're still maxed out with this particular hull. I don't think we have a new hull available to us yet. We don't. Main guns wise, we're still kind of stuck where we were before, but we've got new secondaries we can build all the way up to 8-inch on the secondaries. I don't know if we have room for 8-inch secondaries though. How about we maybe go with a couple of 8-inch secondary, or just a single 8-inch secondary in the back to save some weight. We also now have rangefinders, which we didn't have before. Coincidence rangefinder, which is going to help with the accuracy. We have white powder and gun cotton charges available, which we didn't have before. So this will definitely be a step up technologically from what we had before. We've actually got a decent amount of weight still available to us. Maybe get some casemate guns going here somewhere. And then some 5-inch secondaries back here. 4 weight, major offset because of that 8-inch gun on the back. So maybe we swap those. Maybe we put a single 10-inch on the rear. Put an 8-inch secondary on the front. Oh, it's not going to let me do that, is it? Oh, yeah, it will. Okay. And now, actually, we're pretty well balanced. So now we can just work on armor. Start with Citadel, Superstructure. I don't think we need to go too crazy now. Yeah, I'm not going to mess too much with all that other stuff. Spacious crew quarters. I don't think we're good there. So we increased tensions with the Russians, but then they were able to reduce tensions with us, and that kept us from the brink of war. So the darn Russians are doing their best to not go to war with us. Who else? The British, we're starting to see some deterioration with the British, so let's work on improving relations with them a little bit as best we can here. Here we go. Russian Empire sent us a telegraph which clearly threatens us for war, accusing us for the latest warm incidents in our common borders. How should we respond? We should respond with war. Our patience is over. We must reply that we will solve our problems in the war field. War! Let's do it. All right. Now we're going to see how these ships actually do. What do I have over here right now? I've got a bunch of battleships in Palau. I've got a few. I've got 4 of them in Danzig. And obviously there's going to be some tension that's generated by these fleets. We're going to do it. I guess we just keep them in that port and they'll automatically maybe go at it. I don't know, how does that work exactly? Can we move him over here toward where his fleet is? Nah, it's just going to go Danzig. So I guess we just wait and see what happens. Now, fleet-wise, we have a lot of our ships. These ones are all Korean ships that are being built. Our next ships for ourselves are 17 months away. But we now have 20 battleships that are ready for fighting and a few more that are just awaiting commissioning. Okay, the Austro-Hungarians are now also at war with the Russians. They've initiated a major offensive from the province of Lithuania against the German Empire in Prussia, as well as from Ukraine against Poland. So we'll see what happens with all of that. So far, the victory points are pretty favorable for us. Of course, we've got 30 battleships, so that certainly helps. You can see where the land attacks are happening. I don't know what, if anything, I can do about that. I don't believe there is anything I can do about that. We just need to try and take him out at sea as best we can. Okay, we're going to get our first battle, and it's going to be a one-on-one between the Prince Regent Luitpold and the Svato Alexander. All right. That's a good way to see how our battleships are going to do against his capital ships in a one-on-one battle. All right, so new kind of interface here to see. We are just now spotting him. It's telling us which of our guns. It's basically telling us all of our guns. And now we have the ability, by the way, to fire at different ships simultaneously. So if you've got a guy on your left and a guy on your right, you can fire at both of them at the same time, which you couldn't do before. But it's telling us that we don't have the angle for certain guns to be able to fire. So that is completely understandable. I think if we slow down to all ahead full, we'll get a better accuracy. We just landed a hit, which actually overpen. And this is, we've got 12-inch guns on this thing, Mark 1s. Let's go ahead and start turning this way. I want to try and get those rear 12-inch guns firing. But if we get a little bit closer, we can actually get a torpedo in the water. So I might actually change that for now. I want to try and get within that 0.9 kilometers so we can get ourselves a torpedo on him. We got torpedo tubes up front, on the side, and in the rear. I don't know if he's got torpedoes or not. He does. So that's something we have to be aware of, that he'll also be able to fire torpedoes. Oop, got a partial pen on us. Alright, we got to be careful here. He did just put torpedoes in the water. Alright, let me pause because I can't remember how to do this. How do we turn? It's been so long since I've done this that I totally forget how to do it. I thought it used to be right over here we would just turn. But it looks like it's not. So, okay. I think he's got me though. Now we've got our torpedoes in the water. Oh, actually, no. I think we're good. My torpedo, on the other hand, I think is going to get him. I don't know how much damage it's going to do, but I think we've got a hit. Beautiful. Yes! Oh, yeah. Nice amount of damage. There were battleships that had torpedoes. Very few times in history, though, did you have a battleship hit another battleship with a torpedo. In fact, I think it might have only ever happened once. But I could be wrong about that. We got to be careful because he could put another one in the water on us, but we are getting some really good damage on him right now. So our first test of one-on-one is going good so far, but we just have to be careful because there could always be a an explosion that could happen if he gets a detonation on ammo or something on me. He's listing heavily to one side, so that's some good news. I think we're going to be able to put him in the water here in just a minute. I think he's done. I think we got him. Come on, baby. Sink. Yeah, he's dead in the water. He's trying to pump the water, but I don't think it's going to happen. We just got to sink him before he can get another torpedo in the water or something on me. There it is. Beautiful. Alright, we did take a little bit of damage, but nothing real bad. Let's take a look at the aftermath. That's a good test to do a one-on-one instead of having kind of a big fleet battle. He lost 627 crew. Not a lot of damage. I received 210 damage. No flooding, 1 fire. Only lost a little bit of crew. Pretty good accuracy on the main gun. And experience. We even get to see that and how much fuel they lost as well. Good start. So we can see here, it's a major offensive. We can see the numbers by the army of the Russians versus the defense of the German Empire. And we can see here then, of course, the Austro-Hungarians are also involved, and they've started taking some losses. The Russians have lost 45,000 to the Austro-Hungarian German forces, losing only 7,000. But they've got a 2-to-1 advantage. So we're going to have to make up at sea for what's happening on land. All right, we actually have the option for naval invasion. We have a strong naval presence, over 100,000 tons of warships in the vicinity. Should we choose an attack next month? Where do we want to attack? How about southern Finland? Let's do it. Let's see what that does. So that's going to be right here. We're going to attack southern Finland. German Empire mobilizes to launch a naval invasion against the Russian Empire in the province of southern Finland. While German Empire's fleet is inside the attack zone, troops are carried and land battles occur near the shore. All right, so let's see what happens with that. We have a naval invasion mission available to us. We definitely want to fight that. How do we go about that? I don't know. Estimated duration 1 out of 6. So that's actually something that's going to occupy those ships for a while. In the meantime, I'm a little nervous. The British seem to be hell-bent on pushing us toward war, and my improving relations doesn't seem to be helping very much. All right, we're going to get one more battle, this time in the Pacific, between one of my original Schleswig-Holstein class ships against the Smolensk. So this will probably be the battle that we wrap this episode up with. We got a good introduction to everything going, and now we're going to have a couple of fights. We will definitely see some bigger battles down the road, but for now it's a good start. So we'll fight this battle, and then we'll call it an episode, I think. Okay, here we go. So once again, we have the 12-inch guns. We're going to see what this guy's got. Hopefully we can get the accuracy advantage. We're going to slow down to increase our accuracy. He does have torpedoes, 11.7-inch guns. Alright, if we turn toward him, we might be able to put a torpedo at him right off the bat here. Alright, he's already got one in the water. So we're going to turn to avoid that. We should be okay. Yeah, thankfully I had the angle in my favor there. And now we've launched one at him that's going to nail him. A dud! No! Ah! Dud torpedo. But now we can get one hopefully from the side, but the angle is not favorable here. But he doesn't seem to be turning to avoid. Yeah, he is. Alright. Ah. Darn dud torpedo. And that's something that happens. Especially if you're the Americans at the beginning of World War II. We're getting a lot of overpen right now. But we are causing damage. Oh, that torpedo is going to nail me. There's nothing I can do about that one. We're going to see what kind of damage we can take. That was a dud too! Yes! Woo! That's very helpful. Alright, we got to be careful here because we can't keep sitting broadside to him like this. I'm going to try to turn this way. We can use our rear torpedo tubes to get a shot on him, and then we can also improve our angle. So, oh no! Torpedo detonation. I just lost all of my torpedoes. Alright, so torpedoes are no longer an option. For us, anyway. Not a ton of damage. Oh, boy, that hurt. That was major penetration. 2,500 damage. Yeah, we're in a little too close for comfort right now. That's a problem. We should not have gotten that close. Hopefully we can get on top of this flooding. Got a lot of fire going on, too. Even if we survive this, we've got major damage. Looks like we lost our 5-inch guns. That was the explosion on that one. And we're just not causing damage at this point. This is bad. What's our accuracy like? Not good at all. 18%. We actually don't have a ton of firepower available. Oh, wait, what? Oh, we don't have the angle? My guns can't turn? What's going on here? There we go. Why are we not firing? Oh, he's almost done. What happened? I don't quite understand. I must have missed something. I'm going to have to go back and watch this again. I don't know how that damage got caused. He only received 726 damage. Alright, I got to go back and watch this. I went back and watched, and the only thing I could find was that I had a couple of 4-inch hits that caused some flooding. I must have just caused flooding in the right place at the right time. Just a fluke thing. I really should have lost that battle. He was wrecking me there. So that one's going to have to go in for some serious repairs. But we've got the invasion of southern Finland starting. Our main concern right now is holding off the British, because if we go to war with the British, we're in big trouble. That is not an animal that we want to be taking on right now. And every attempt we've made to try and get along with the British is not working so far. So let's look at the British Empire. They've got a massive amount of money and growth. They've got 25 battleships, 54 heavy cruisers, 10 light cruisers, and 15 torpedo boats. That is not good. How about we try and improve relations with the U.S.? So we're going to wrap it up right there. Let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. And if there's anything about the game you want me to talk about in the next episode, highlight, go over, show a little more in detail, I'll be glad to do that. Haven't done one of these campaigns all the way through before on this game on the channel, so I don't know what you want to see more of, less of, things like that. Let me know. Please hit that like button if you would. We'll be back again soon. Thanks for watching.